Ahmed, how you doing, mate? I hope you can hear me. It's 2 o'clock here. And it is absolutely mental hot. It is. I'm absolutely cooking off here, mate. Anyway, how are you? Well, I'm on a promise to show people some hardcore Kingdom Come Deliverance. I thought I would pop on and do some harm. Oh, glad to hear it, mate. Glad to hear it. See what I've got. Have you played any? Have you played any of this? I don't think you have you? Cool beans, mate. Travel safe, and I'll see you in a bit. It's good. Well, I was about to say it's good, but you know my feelings about this game. I'm fucking obsessed with it at the moment. But anyway, I'll see you when you get back, mate. Thanks for spinning by. Right. Let's see where we're at. Let's have some free food. So Kit, amongst other people, was curious about hardcore. Just check my settings. Yeah, I'm really enjoying hardcore. As I said in a message to Kit last night, I would say you wanna master this game on normal, I think, before you try hardcore. Theron, how you doing? Tanisha, how are you? Rico, how you doing, mate? I'm glad you're there, actually, because I have been working on the stealth best in slot video. So I'll give you my preliminary findings so far. But yeah, I thought I'd pop on because a few people have been very curious about hardcore and what it entails. So I thought I would just do a quick stream covering hardcore, so you can kind of see the difference. The main difference being these perks. To play on hardcore, you obviously select hardcore, and on top of all of the other differences, you get these perks. You've got to pick 2 of 9. I picked them all. They change things quite significantly. Let's have a little look. Brittle bones. That's actually not been too bad. I mean, I would definitely say with hardcore, it very much hits you when you first start playing, when you're low level. Flamenzi, how you doing, mate? Yeah, with hardcore, I'm not saying it necessarily gets easier over time, because you do have different problems as you get to higher level. Because, I mean, fighting is no joke on hardcore when you're going up against 4 guys in plate. Sniper, how you doing, dude? Thank you, mate. I will. I'll check Twitter after the stream. But yeah, the TLDR of these perks are that once you get through the initial difficulties of just getting into the game, brittle bones is not been too bad. I've got to admit, it's not been too bad. You just got to be a bit more careful going down drops. I mean, to be honest, the biggest problem I had with brittle bones was collecting my horse armor, the Chaffron and the Cridier. That is that is quite difficult at the best of times. When you've got brittle bones, it's a fucking nightmare. I do not know how many times I died trying to jump down a cliff to get that thing from the bird's nest. For those of you who don't know, that's a unique horse armour for your horse, and it involves a fairly tricky little sort of manoeuvre down a cliff. Well, with brittle bones, you get fucking hurt. Claustrophobia. Personally, I either wear no helmet or I wear an open visor helmet anyway, because I don't like trying to fight whilst just having a little slot in the middle of the screen. Let's see if I've got any helmets on me. No, I haven't got any helmets on me. But yeah, claustrophobia, it hasn't really affected me. I would be warned though that I have seen a video of someone getting one-shotted by an arrow. So you know, I don't know the full circumstances of it, but it would appear that you can theoretically be one-shotted if you don't wear a visor, but I think that was probably always the case. Consumption. Not really been that much of a problem. I've just basically, I always overtrain to try and get my combat skills up as much as I can, and I always go for the perks that help stamina. So consumption isn't as much of a nightmare as you'd imagine, but it just basically drains on your fighting. When you're fighting, it's just tougher when you've got less stamina. So you do find you do gas out and suddenly have to back off quickly. Haemophilia, to be honest, I've not really had any problem with that. I mean, I guess I mostly always have some form of item on each body part that restricts bleeding. So, but I've not really had much of a problem with bleeding, I have to admit. So that's not really affected me. Yeah, nightmares gives you that debuff, as you can see there. That's a pain in the arse. Taking a -2 debuff across the board is a big pain in the cock when when you're on hardcore, because most of the time you're going to try and grab a little bit of sleep to save, and that gives you an automatic -2 debuff. The main thing where it affects you is that you will find that you've got to be careful with your weaponry, so that if say at the end of a day's adventuring you buy yourself a new sword and you check that you're qualified to use it, you might find in the morning when you wake up with a -2 debuff you're not got enough strength to use the damn thing. Same with bows, so you just have to be a little bit mindful of that. Nomad, how you doing, mate? There is indeed free anal bleach here. So that's a reference from, that's a blast from the past. Commander Root, thank you very much for the follow, mate. Yeah, for those of you just joining me, I'm just doing a quick stream of hardcore so people can see the difference, because I'm getting a lot of questions about it. So I just thought I'd running through these perks. Yeah, nightmares isn't too much of a deal. You just basically you're gonna take -2 off if there's any piece of equipment you want to use. Just sort of factor in that -2. So I've used underpowered weapons a lot because it's just like I'm fucked if I'm swapping them in and out all the fucking time. Numbskull slows down your learning, sort of how fast you'll get XP. And holy fuck, this stings. Armoured, thank you very much for the host, dude, and welcome back. Yeah, that's, I would say it's funny. It's Numbskull doesn't have how can I put it? It's probably the biggest, one of the most impacting perks in hardcore, even though you don't really think about it at all. You know what I mean? It's just there in the background, and then you know you occasionally become aware, like, holy fuck, you've done tons of training and you haven't even got a skill point yet. So you know, I think it has a really big impact, even though it doesn't kind of impinge on your consciousness enough. But holy fucking hell, the XP gain really feels slow. Really feels slow compared to when I did a bit of power leveling on normal and was like maxing stuff out in an evening. Whereas you can see, I mean, I really hammered this playthrough, and you know, look at some of these skills. I'm still only at 18 strength, and I'm using strength weapons. So yeah, numbskull hurts, even though you don't think about it most of the time. The shakes, not too bad. I mean, it's with archery and lockpicking, they just become easier the more you train them. So the shakes, yeah, it's a pain in the arse, but you just basically train harder to get better at those skills, and then it becomes less of an issue. The only thing is, obviously, like with a lot of these perks, you know, they interact, i.e. shakes is bad, so you want to train things to get better so that it's less of an issue. But obviously you're taking it from both ends, because numbskull is slowing down your XP gain. Lamenji says, I might become a raging alcoholic with shakes in hardcore. Read something about that the other day. Yeah, I never got, I haven't really tried it, but yeah, there are I know there's a lock picking one, isn't there? There's a lock picking perk where you get steady when you're luck of the drunk. Yeah, and I would say in hardcore the effects of stuff are slower, like medicines and alcohol. Actually, like, they're more of a heal over time, and the same way alcohol is more of a you get drunk over time. So you've got to be fucking careful, because in normal I just find, like, you know, I'll might have a quick drink or something like that just to sort of work up my skill. Whereas I have accidentally got shit-faced playing this game, because it doesn't immediately take effect, and so I just kind of like did a little spam click on some booze because I didn't appear to be getting drunk, and then proceeded. In fact, it's in one of my videos. You see me like falling all over the place, because then I continued to get drunk for about the next 10 minutes, just getting more and more drunk, and I was actually worried I was going to pass out. Somnambulant, holy fucking hell. When you don't have a horse, this can be really, really bad. To put it in perspective, by the way, there are going to be some spoilers in this, so if you're really sensitive to spoilers, you might want to watch a Tetris stream or something. So I'm sorry, I should have warned you before I just went to the fully opened map. I am tempted for Menzi just to see what happens if you stay shit-faced drunk all the time. To give you an idea of how Somnambulant works, is you go to sleep and you just wake up in a random location. And the first couple of times it happened to me, I didn't give a shit. It was like I'd go to sleep in, I don't know, the inn there, and then I'd wake up in the shed here, you know, and that's like a mile or so. It was no big shit. But then I had a quest up here where it was that hunting quest, and I had to do something at 5 o'clock sharp. I saw that, Ahmed. I had to meet him at dawn, and then I wake up somewhere up here, and of course when you don't have a horse, that's a big deal, you know. And as well, there's no map markers, there's no compass markers, so I went to sleep here, woke up here, had no fucking clue where I was. In fact, I might have been up here. I think, yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe I was around here, because I think maybe I used that house as a point of reference. And yeah, that wasn't too bad. A lot of the time though, like when I go to sleep in Privoslavitz, I keep waking up in my old house in Skalitz. But yeah, Vlemenzi's had a lot worse luck than me. I mean, I guess my record is about 3 miles 3 miles on with a horse. If you imagine doing this at the start of the game, Vlemenzi has literally woken up on the other side of the map. Early game on foot. That provides you with tremendous opportunities to do some exploring. But I don't even know how long it takes to run across the map on foot. I mean, you're probably looking at 10-15 minutes. It's not a quick walk. And that's, of course, assuming that you don't get lost, because obviously you don't have any location markers. So yeah, Somnambulant, that's going to give you some excitement. I would just be careful if it says, you know, meet me at dawn. Factor that in when you go to bed, because I did have one shit my pants moments where I was like, holy crap, am I going to get there in time? Oh god, yeah, Vlemenzi just said thank fuck he wasn't carrying too much shit. Yeah, Somnambulant could really get you if you're over encumbered. You could be looking at slowly walking at really slow pace to get somewhere where you can stow that stuff, and that could be bad, really bad. Tapeworm. I've not found that to be too bad. The only difference is really that in normal, I don't give a shit about eating. You know, in normal, I just, yeah, every half a day you go, oh, I'll eat a bread roll, fuck it. You know, eating's not a big deal in normal. In hardcore, you're constantly looking at your nourishment. The main thing about this is that really, where is it? On normal I go for balanced diet because it's very easy to manage. It's very easy to manage your food, so you'll get pretty much a permanent +1 bonus to vitality and agility. Just forget about it in hardcore. You'll constantly be getting hungry and overeating, and also not only will you be getting hungry all the time. I mean, I sometimes deliberately overeat because I know I'll overeat because I'm going to bed or something, you know. So, you know, tapeworm's perfectly manageable, but it does make the other perk balanced diet just pointless, because you will just constantly be blowing it. Being able to micromanage that for days on end is just not going to happen. I don't have the halberd bug in Privislavich. I'm actually fine. And I went for a guardhouse. By the way, how's the stream looking for you? I've taken Cow's advice and changed one of my codecs. I'm kind of hoping it's slightly better quality today. But no, I've been very lucky this playthrough. Occasionally I'll get to a location and be a little bit weird, but usually it passes and my graphics quality comes back up sort of after I've slept. Thank you, Vlemenzi. Thank you, Ahmed. Theron, I'm going to make a note and I will check after the stream, mate. How's that? Yeah, for me too. I'm going to actually head up, since we're doing a DLC stream where I'm talking about the DLC. I'm going to head up to Privislavich in a minute. But yeah, that's the hardcore perks. You know, it does make a real difference. I mean, in combat you've got to be fuck careful. I mean, you really have to be fuck careful, because you make a few little mistakes and suddenly there's blood dripping down the screen. And you also got to remember that if you look at the screen, there's very little information. You know, you don't get any info from anything really. I've got my two main debuffs down there. I can see the compass moving up top, but that's it. Don't know which. I've got to constantly work out where north is. I think I'm going to take you up. I've got time to get to Privoslavich. That's the other real thing with hardcore. No fast travel. So all I will say is, if when it comes to horses, whatever the question is, the answer is speed. When it comes to perks, gear, you name it, just do whatever it is that gives you maximum speed, because you will spend so much time riding in hardcore. You do not want to be jogging along on some fucking knacker's pony. And also the crikey, I'd have his bloody clothing in a second if I wasn't so near to Skalitz. But yeah, also because you don't have fast travel, you've got to constantly remember where you are. So I personally tended to find routes that were less likely to get me lost. They weren't necessarily the most direct route, but they were easy routes where I wouldn't get fucking lost on the way. So sometimes you even go the long way round. So you will be doing a lot of riding. So just go for racehorse, get the best kit you can on your horse. Yes, Rico. And congrats, mate. Congrats. And yeah, I don't like to give spoilers, so I won't say much about it other than it's. I'm glad the advice came in handy. But yeah, that aside, I hope I'm not getting lost now. That aside, that should be Merhayev. It's worth keeping some items, random items, because there are some items that you don't realise are unique. Like the Cumin chainmail, I didn't realise that was unique, and that was very rare, and I'd vended a load of those, and in hindsight I wish I'd kept them. Yeah, as Vlamenzi says, the other issue with hardcore is the Privoslavich DLC requires a lot of money. I'm holy crap, I think I've crashed. One sec. No. Massive load spike. Right, am I moving again? Not quite sure what caused that. Yeah, the combination of From the Ashes and hardcore is the one very obvious implication that it costs a fucking ton. Really does cost a fucking ton to build Privoslavich, rebuild Privoslavich, and on hardcore it really is a grind, because on hardcore you get really shit returns from vendors. So yeah, I mean it's not a small amount of money for normal, but for hardcore, yeah, for hardcore I literally had to sort of decide what I was going to build next and then go and grind the money. Yeah, I've literally almost finished scripting 3 videos about Kingdom Come Deliverance, and I'm doing one on From the Ashes. But the probably the most important point I would say to anyone is build the money-making buildings first. Always save just before you make your choices, because some of them are exclusive. You know, you can't have an armor smith and a swordsmith. So save before you build, because you might suddenly go, oh fuck, I didn't want that to happen. But yeah, build the money making places first, and then if you're finding a problem with money, you can let it cook off, earning you up to 2,000 groschen a day, and then you can go for the stuff that costs money. But if you were to build certain items, they actually cost you money. So don't just build everything that costs money to run without any of the profit-making buildings, or Privoslavich will be costing you perhaps 1,000 a day. It's basic, basic gaming economics. But yeah, you will learn. You will really have to learn the fucking map for hardcore, because it's like Fallout 4 on hardcore. You just don't realise how lazy you get when you can fast travel. I found on Fallout 4 that I had my entire orientation wrong on certain bases, because I only travelled there once and then always fast travelled. I didn't even know which way was north in some bases. Rico says I'm starting with 70,000 groschen. Yeah, that's going to get you some good stuff built. I don't think that's enough to complete, but by the way, there are spoilers ahead, so if people don't want spoilers about From the Ashes DLC, this is your quick chance to put your fingers in your ears and go la 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 la. So this is the finished Privoslavich. I went for an armourer. I kind of would have liked the swordsmith for the grinding stone, but really this was about vending stuff. I wanted to turn up here and be able to sell shit, and most of the shit you sell is armour, so I went for the armour smith. I've got a trader there, which makes me money. I've got a guardhouse here. Basically there's a training arena, which is bloody handy. On hardcore, having this training arena here is great, because obviously everything takes so long to learn. Having the ability to train is brilliant. Tavern makes good money, Rico. I'll take you there in a second. We have an archery range here, which this dude sells you a very powerful bow, high spec bow, and you can do archery competitions. If you're good at archery competitions, that's like 60 groschen every 4 minutes or something. So, if you want to train up your archery and make a little bit of money, you can do far worse than the archery competition. Got a baker's, which I never ever fucking go to. There's a kind of mini game there where you have to preside over the town and give judgment. Got bees there, which make you a bit of money. And my baker's here with a drying house. I never really go there. I should really go there and buy more food. I should really bench test those bows actually to see if they're any good. I guess I'm kind of using it for the hell of it. But... And here is the lovely tavern with a priest. I would say be very careful with reputation. I'd be knocking that guy unconscious every 2 days to steal his monk's habit.
Aren't you meant to be in the monastery, lad?
All right, all right.
But you just don't take any chances. You can lose the whole DLC. You can lose the whole DLC if you piss everybody off. So I'm not committing any crime here.
What happened to your vows?
I won't bore you with dice. Yeah, I've kept my old cumin bows, so I can always switch back. Here's the church. The advanced rat house has a herb garden, and they're all picked. Got a very nice herb garden, in fact. And there's an alchemy bench in there. And here we have the Bohemian cribs. This is the rat house. This is the place where you do your work. This is some free food. Most importantly, when it's fully pimped out, you got your bed and your locker here. Thanks for that tip, by the way, Flamenzi. And a nice little balcony so you can look out over your dominion. So yeah, Rico says, what's the best way to raise some cash? I actually printed off a map. For me, there's certain milestones with a game. And one is, if I get to the point where I'm printing off maps, I know I'm hooked. But there's a very good map that you can get. I think it's on the forums, Kingdom Come Deliverance forums. But someone has taken the map and they have superimposed the position of all bandit camps. And when I make money, I literally go and farm bandit camps. I will just look at my map. I'll go, right, whereabouts am I? Obviously, it's different if you're not on hardcore because you can just fast travel anywhere you like. But when I'm when I'm playing on hardcore, but you know, you kind of got to plan your day a bit more on hardcore because you don't want to say, if you're in Previslavich, you don't want to just go, oh, I'll go and do that quest in Rate now. Not if you've got like 7 quests. Oh yeah, it's sorry Vlamenzi, it's deleted the link. It automatically blocks links because of people putting Russian Viagra stuff. If you Google, I think it's Kingdom Come Deliverance Bandit Maps, then that will get you there. So yeah, if I'm in Previslavich, for example, I physically have this map to stop me having to window out. Because for those of you who don't know, one thing I've discovered is every time you window out of Kingdom Come Deliverance, it changes the setting from full screen to bordered. And then you get significant degradation in your graphics. So the less you window out of this game, the better. So yeah, I'm in Previslavich. I can look at my map. I can see right now there are 1, 2, 3 very close bandit camps, 2 a little farther out, and 1 right over the other side of Skalitz. I will go over there. I will scout them out. Usually open fire. Thanks, Filamenzi. Usually open fire with a bow. Start kiting them down the road. Then I will just take all of the... I'll try and look at the weight to value ratios and take all of their gear and hoover it all up and then go and sell it. But yeah, farming bandit camps I find is the best all-round way to make money. There may be other better ways, but I find that's a good way to get XP, supplies, because obviously all the time you're doing this, you're also, you know, you're getting lockpicks, you're getting food, you're getting arrows, you might be getting upgrades to your own gear. You know, for every 30 to 50 items I sell, there'll be one in there and it'll be like, oh, that's nice, I'll take that. You might have to pay a bit to get it repaired, but I mean, I also always carry tons of repair kits with me. If I could be asked, I'd be doing a lot more. I'd be doing a lot more repairing and stuff before I sold it, because that's a very cost efficient way to make money, is to fully repair everything. But there does kind of come a point where it's like, how laborious do you want to be? Nomad just said this game is very pretty. Is it like Skyrim in a sense? Sorry for that comparison. No, not at all, mate. Not at all. There's a certain irony there, actually, because this game won... Was it Best Fantasy Game 2018 or something? And as everybody always says, but it's not a fantasy game. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of direct comparisons with Skyrim. but it's actually an entirely historical game, Nomad. This is literally a 1406 historical Bohemian simulator. I shit you not. You have to wash, you have to sleep, you have to eat. So, you know, on a personal level, you know, I actually get the Skyrim / Fallout comparison, because as a Skyrim fan and a Fallout fan, this game slots right in there as one of those kinds of games. Even though at its core it's very, you know, it is very, very different. Once you get into the game, it is very, very different because it's much more realistic. But that's what makes it special. But yeah, I mean, it's this is a game where most of the time people criticise it for various, for want of a better word, socio-political reasons. The most common defence they field is they'll just turn around and say, yeah, well, our historians said that wasn't the case. It's one of their most common defences, is they literally would just turn around and say, you know, that's a nice idea, but actually this is historically accurate. We had a team of historians. That's not what happened, so that's why we did it this way. Just going to have a quick read of chat.
What happened to your vows?
Yeah, it's a great game. I'll be honest, it was a game that didn't appeal to me. Vlemenzi was kind of very excited about it. And then I kind of, because he really was into it, I thought, you know what, I'm going to give it a try. At first, it was very slow paced. And I was like, what have I done here? This is a peasant simulator. Because the beginning of the game, it's a really big learning curve. And you're literally running around in a pair of green tights, covered in shit. And you can't do anything. You really can't do anything. You're absolutely useless at the start of this game. But when you stick with it, you realise the beauty in it. I mean, you really, to the point where it's one of those games where you start to notice where the muddy puddles are, because you're like, I've just cleaned my armour. I'm not getting off my horse in muddy puddles. It's that kind of OCD RPG. It's real special game. But you're welcome. You're welcome. I would also add, and I'm going to be completely open about this. I fangirl for Warhorse Studios all the time. So feel free to get a second opinion, because I'm openly biased about this game, and you need to factor that into any decisions you make. But I think it's a great company. It's an independent studio. It was initially partially funded by a Kickstarter. They did a deal with a publisher. If they could raise $500,000, was it $250,000 on a Kickstarter, then they would fund the rest of the $20 million to make the game. It's like a double A indie game, basically. I've got nothing but good things to say about it. I can put up with all of the bugs, you know, and it still has some bugs. But it's like Fallout 4. I can put up with the bugs in Fallout 4 because overall the rest of the game is so good. Rico says, I really thought I wouldn't like this game, but fuck me, it's so fucking good. Yeah, same. There was this point where I started playing it and I was like, oh my god, what have I just spent money on? And now I've actually, God forbid, I've racked up 500 hours in this game, which is absolutely sick amount. But yeah. Vlemenzi is talking about stealth, which is another thing I wanted to talk about. No, I don't think I have got that achievement. I'm sure I checked my stats on this playthrough and I've got something like 3 stealth kills. And I routinely stab people on the road from stealth. I'm constantly stealth mugging people. Yeah, I mean, as Vlemenzi says, there's tons of there's a DLC roadmap. About a half of the DLC is going to be free. About half of it's going to be paid for. Hardcore was a free update as part of patch 1.6, and From the Ashes was, I think, £8. But yeah, my personal position is I'll buy their DLC just to support the game. It's you know, I have a couple of subtle criticisms, like for example this stinger, which it's exactly the weapon I'm looking for. I'm afraid to say that is exactly the weapon I'm looking for. I want to level my sword fighting, and I want something with very high stab damage. So that stinger is a must-have. You know, that's a must-have item for me. But I would just say that's in one of the little micro DLCs. There was a little £4 DLC, Kingdom Come Warhorse DLC, and I'm not sure that the best weapon in game should be in a DLC. You know, but it's not a PvP game, so it's not like anyone's paying to win, as it were. But even so, I think that sword should have been toned down. But that's the kind of level of criticism we're talking about. I could live with that. Yeah, I mean, as Rico says about the rendering the graphics, you're going to have to some degree or other, even on PC, there's going to be a little bit of graphics pop, because, yeah. I mean, see how fast I'm riding. You know, I'm going through a lot of game world here. A lot of very heavily rendered game world at incredibly high speed. So you will get graphics pop. Yeah. But I hear it's, according to Rico, it's better on PC. I did have to fiddle around with my graphics a bit, and for example, I turn off video capture from NVIDIA while I'm streaming to try and take the strain off. Let's have a look at the other questions here. But yes, Vamenzi says there's more DLC to come. Half of it will be free, some will be charged. There's even stuff like they want to do tournaments, so that'll be like, you know, medieval jousting type tournament type stuff. Don't know the exact details, but that should be fun. For those of you who don't know, by the way, Nomad Clear Sky is one of like my first ever subscribers. When I first started YouTube, I saw him on Twitter the other day, and I'm like, is that Nomad? And it turns out it was. Yeah, it's a very beautiful game. It's a very beautiful game. I mean, they've gone to town. And it's a good job too, because you're going to spend a lot of time in the woods in this game, so it's kind of nice that the woods look pretty. But the other one that I was going to talk about is let's talk stealth. I have almost finished scripting a video for you. Rico has asked me to do a best in slot video for stealth. And I will make the video for YouTube, but the TLDR is this. You know, I had a word with Vamenzi. I watched the other videos that were out there, and to some degree or other, I agree with Vamenzi's criticism, or should I say, I'll start that sentence again. I agree with the point that Vamenzi said, which is, to some degree or other, a lot of the best in slot videos out there are a bit of a conceit, because just putting an item into each of these boxes with the lowest possible stealth value isn't necessarily a good stealth build. And at the same time, strictly speaking, the best in slot is to strip naked and put on like a dark cape. If you want to be have really low visibility, conspicuousness and noise, is just take all your clothes off, where, you know, put a black blanket over yourself and no fucker will be able to see you. And that's not really a build. And similarly, there's lots of best in slot stealth builds that just it's fucking total shit. I mean, you just can't do anything in them other than stealth. And some of these builds even require you to take stuff off. It's, you know, the Vlemenzi, I think Vlemenzi, you pointed out that someone's best in slot video is like, you know, you put this on, this on, this on, and then you take these items off when you want to sneak around. And it's like, well, that's not really a stealth build, is it? You know, that's a low visibility build where you have to take half your clothes off when you want to do anything. And I personally cannot be fucked constantly swapping items on and off. I thought about swapping a hat on because it gets me a little bit less noise, but I am going to do the video for you, Rico. It has transformed from being a best in slot guide to a stealth build guide, because and thank you very much, big shout out to Vlemenzi for this, because it was conversations with Vlemenzi, who has done a lot more on stealth than me. Conversations with him got me on the right track here, so that I didn't end up just basically regurgitating a shitty best in slot guide, like, you know, just a copy of what other people had done. So thank you very much for that, mate. So yeah, what you'll ultimately get, Rico, is a guide to how you can build the stealthiest build possible for you. And there's a few general guidelines I've got. Obviously, you're targeting the lowest visibility possible, the lowest conspicuousness. I think visibility is the range at which you're seen. Conspicuousness is how long it takes people to spot you, and noise is noise. Yeah, I've been tinkering with this, which I'll go through in detail in a minute, just to give you the TLDR. But yeah, the main point of the video will be, here's a guide to how to become more stealthy, and everything is a compromise. Therefore, you know, it's going to be about gear. Some gear you can buy. A lot of the gear you're going to have to, it's just going to be down to luck whether you get it. So it's not like I can just give you a shopping list that you can go out and get. But yeah, I wanted a guide, so sorry, I'll refocus my thoughts. It will help you make a build where you can wear this all the time. You don't need to swap stuff in and off, whatever. You know, if you want to take your spurs off when you're sneaking, I understand that. But the whole idea was, you know, this is for noise, even with my spurs. It will allow you to compromise for how you want to appear, and also compromise for how much protection you want. Because the idea is that this helps you, the guide will help you build a setup where you're not fucking useless. Hey Patrick, mate, how you doing? So yeah, rather than just being a super stealth build where people will almost never see you or hear you, but if they do, you're completely fucked. I want to do a build guide where you can actually do something. You know, you can be pretty damn stealthy and still actually fight. And I can fight in this setup. So I'm just having a big chug on my vape. I will crank out these 3 guides. As always, I'm ending up working on 3 at the same time. But the short version is, chainmail sucks. Chainmail's fucking noisy. I mean, I look pretty much like I used to look in the last stream, but obviously now I've gone from incredibly high noise to virtually silent, and I'm very low visibility and conspicuousness. The main thing was, you know, as you find stuff, repair it, because There's lots of nice little perks like stuffing. When you repair your own armour, you're able to pad it so it doesn't jangle as much. There's lots of perks like that. So as I went, I was like finding stuff, repairing it to get it to its maximum quietness, and then I was comparing it with what I had on. And the main findings that I got was chainmail chest, gotta go. Chainmail chest and chainmail legs seem to account for about 60 odd fucking noise. If you want to be stealthy, you're going to have to lose some serious chainmail. I don't, you know, I've not come up with a solution for the chainmail slot yet. You can wear a coat RD, but you get about 1 extra armor, and it adds 1 visibility, conspicuous, and noise at the very least. So there's just no point having anything there. Something just went ping. Nomad, thank you for the follow, mate. So yeah, I'm leaving that blank. I'm also leaving the helmet blank because obviously I'm dressed as a nun with a hood. So if I put a helmet on, that destroys my outfit. And yes, it's an RPG, so you have to factor in these aesthetics. So that's why they're blank. Going through, as I was like farming bandits, taking their gear, trying it on for size, I discovered, for example, all gloves are not created equal. There are Mrs. Nomad, not Nomad Clear Sky. I beg your pardon. Thank you very much for the follow, the other Nomad. Oh, you really are Mrs. Nomad. But thank you very much for the follow. Excellent. The whole family's here. So yeah, I found that coifs, for example, some coifs are incredibly noisy and will add to your, I'll say, stealth stats. Obviously, if you want to lower your stealth stats. So when I say add to your stealth stats, that's a bad thing. That makes you more visible, conspicuous, and noisy. So I found that, you know, going through different coifs, trying them on from dead bandits, I suddenly found, after I'd repaired them so that they were as, you know, as quiet as possible, I found that the padded black coif had the best stats. I traded a little bit of armor for that, but so be it. It worked. Similarly, the chainmail coif was actually much quieter. This one's 14. I think the noble coif is 15 or 16 armor, but it's much noisier. He may have been stacking the bleach before he met me. So yeah, I traded down a couple of armor to make that quieter. The jewelry doesn't make any difference. Weapons don't appear to make any difference. So that's that sorted out. Nothing here matters apart from your spurs. And yeah, 3 noise and a little bit of conspicuousness. I'd be very interested to see what happens if I actually got some that were damaged and I could repair them myself. And Nomad, thank you very much for encouraging your better half to sign up to the cause. Over this side, I actually found that the monk's habit is actually pretty good for lowering visibility, conspicuousness, and it's much better than a black cape. I've tried a couple of other monks and priests outfits, and this is by far the best one. The hooded one is by far the best one. One of them actually, I think, raised my conspicuousness, but this one, repaired by me, it's actually a pretty effective item. Similarly, once it's repaired by myself, this dark Milanese brigandine, that costs me 4 noise. So, you know, that's massive amounts of armor. That's top tier chest armor. The dark Saxon Gambeson is a best in slot item. That is one you can just go and buy. Similarly, quiet dark shoes, you can just go and buy those from the cobbler. Tight red hose, you can just go and buy those from the ratte tailor. I would say I also found that instead of having like plate legs, just get brigandine shows, like two-parters. You want boots with armour over the top. Polish plate pauldrons. There's tons of different types of pauldrons, but these ones are actually much quieter. Same with gloves. You know, there's tons of gloves that give you 11 armour, or thereabouts, but some are much quieter than others. Generally, anything that has riveted in the title is going to be fucking noisy for obvious reasons. But that's pretty much it. Oh yeah, and I got rid of my chainmail legs and went for padded chaussees? I don't know. So yeah, I've had to trade off a fair bit of armour, but not so much it's going to get me killed. You know, I can go and fight with people, and I'm not as tough as someone in full plate, but I have pretty reasonable armour in the important places. My head is vulnerable, I will say. If I get cracked on the head with no helmet, that's a problem. So I have to be careful when I'm fighting. But this build is reasonable enough, combined with the perks, and you can fight in it. Thank you, Patrick. Yeah, the one downside of this, and this is a bit of science for you guys, there seems to be a critical mass with the monk's outfit and being told you should be in a monastery. In fact, I'll show you right now. There you go. He said it there. Nearly everybody you pass will say, shouldn't you be in the monastery? Here we go.
What are you doing here? To be in the monastery? You're playing truant from the monastery, aren't you?
Get used to that. Get used to that, because every last motherfucker will do a double take and go, shouldn't you be in the monastery? And it could get on your tits after a while. I thought I'd nailed the science of it. I thought what it was that if you... I tricked myself into thinking that if you get the outfit from the priest in Sasau, it won't happen. Because coincidentally, I put that one on at a point where I had a certain amount of gear on. But what it actually seems to be is there's a certain critical mass of plate and coverage. Because before I started this stealth thing, people had stopped saying it to me. And obviously I had to remove my chest piece, and I've traded some plate for non-plate items, and now they're doing it again. So yeah, I don't know the exact science of it, but it seems like you can wear a monk's outfit as long as you're wearing a fuck ton of plate armour, and people will leave you alone. But once you take off a certain amount of plate armour, suddenly every last motherfucker in Bohemia is going, shouldn't you be in a monastery? And it can be annoying. I kind of laugh at it. In fact, I often shout back at my computer monitor while I'm playing, jokingly. But yeah, if it fucking annoys you, you might not want to wear a monk's outfit. Just a warning to anybody here, this is going to be chock full of spoilers if we haven't ruined the game for you already. But yeah, I like Privoslavich. My closing thoughts on the From the Ashes DLC is simply this. I think this DLC will mean different things to different people based on their playstyle. I'm telling you the conclusion of my YouTube video now. I think if you're playing on normal and you've been playing a long time and you've got 50,000 to or $250,000 groschen or whatever in the bank account, you might well just head up here, be able to build everything in an instant, and not really kind of experience it. But as someone who first encountered this DLC on hardcore when money was scarce, it was a real adventure, like having to go and earn the money, come back here, scrape the cash together, build one building, you know, get the benefits of that. So it was very satisfying on hardcore to do. Plus, it's much more of an investment because, you know, this motherfucker makes me, you think, 1,600 groschen a day now. So gold is scarce on hardcore. I mean, it's particularly early game. You know, you can wipe yourself out very easily. Yeah, got 17k in there now. You can check the ledger. Dallas, how you doing, mate? Yeah, I'm making 1,560. Yeah, I mean, I got the achievement, was it perfection or whatever, because I built all of the money making things first before I built the stuff that cost me stuff. But you know, you're going to have to make some either or choices here, and some things make more money than others. I chose for utility. You know, say for example, God, what is it? There's some of these buildings. Yeah, traders, I think. For example, I think you make more money on the trader if you've got a stables, you know. But yeah, I mean, on hardcore, by the time I was done, I really did feel like I'd enjoyed it. And it's that wooden bathtub. I'd enjoyed it, and it was an investment. You know, it was something, by the time I'd finished, I'd put a lot of work in and now I make money. Oh, thank you very much, Dallas. It's very nice of Grumps to share, actually. He's one of the last guys that actually has the guts to share my videos. A lot of people don't. A lot of people are scared of being associated with me these days. But Grumps has always been staunch. He's a very skilled player. He's a very amusing stream as well. Oh, thank you very much for watching the Division stuff, mate. There's more to come. So yeah, just to wrap up for the Ashes DLC. I can see some people's complaints about this, and I can see why they came to that conclusion. And I think depending on the, you know, if you're a certain style of play, I can see why you may have just hammered through this DLC and gone, is that it? Whereas on hardcore and at the pace I took it, it was an adventure in its own right, and now I've got a base in the north. Not to mention on hardcore, when you're riding everywhere, having a base, a home base with high rep vendors and a place to sleep and a storage locker right up in the north is kind of handy. So I think Privoslavich on normal is going to just be another fast travel point where you quickly go and collect your stuff. On hardcore, just like in Fallout 4, every friendly harbour is much more important. And so for me personally, I'm giving this DLC big thumbs up. I enjoyed it. Certainly think it was worth the £8. And just to point out, with the herb garden, the alchemy table, and the fact that the flyer garricks still grow everywhere, it's a good little alchemy location. It's a good little store of money. And Privoslavich, before the DLC, Privoslavich was my favourite grinding spot. If I ever wanted money and I hadn't advanced the main quest line beyond Runt, this was the place. Yes, I'm supposed to be in the fucking monastery. Fuck off, halberd man. Privoslavich used to be my favourite grinding spot. I used to just come up here, snipe people from across the bridge here, and just sort of shoot them with a bow from over here and kite them up this road, and then I'd end up with a big pile of bodies about here. I'd loot them all and then head off to Uzits to go and sell the loot. With the From the Ashes DLC, effectively you're trading the best grinding spot in the game for a different resource, and the resource is this base that makes you money every day, plus you can now go off into the 4 other bandit camps positioned around here and then go and farm those and then come back and sell your stuff here. So you're trading in one farming spot for effectively a farming hub. And no, I also haven't done the NPCs, and that's another thing. Spoiler alert, everybody, fingers in ears if you don't want to hear it. Yeah, I'm now at that point where I've realised that I can send specialist NPCs up here. So I'm very... Don't tell me, because I want to find out for myself, but I could only assume there may be some benefits of having specialist NPCs, but you can go and effectively recruit random people from around the map and get them to come up here and adopt the role, certain critical jobs in Privoslavich for you. I'm assuming there's going to be positive benefits from that. And that's obviously another bit of a mini game within the game. So yeah, I was been meaning to get round to that. So yeah, I mean the DLC's not over. And I would say I did see at least one review where someone said something critical about
health to you, Henry.
Critical about this, and they were wrong. It was clear that they hadn't done all of the DLC, so I don't know whether I'm at the end of the DLC. Well, I'm not at the end of the DLC because I haven't recruited my own staff, as it were. So although the main quest is over for me now, there may be other ways that this DLC impacts the game that I haven't encountered. But I would say I've definitely seen one very respectable review of this where someone goes, oh, it doesn't even have X, Y or Z. And I was just sitting there going, yes it does, but you clearly haven't done this, this and this. And it was very clear that they'd made certain choices building Privoslavich, which meant that they got cut out of certain options. So they were under the impression that, you know where I'm going with this. It's one of the reasons I haven't done my review yet, because I want to make sure I don't fall into that trap. Right, we're going to head off. Dallas, not a problem, mate. I was just trying to get to the end of the bit about Privoslavich, because I'm going to probably edit this up in conspicuous chunks, so I thought I'd address what you said afterwards. I very much appreciate it, mate, genuinely. I do enjoy making those news dumps. They do bring a lot of flack my way, no two ways about that. But yeah, there's just me trying to do a little news, a little bit of genuine news on the division that's not hype, and isn't just sort of fangirling. But I'm very glad you appreciate the vids. It's nice of Grumps to shout out, to be honest.
May the Lord watch over you, Henry.
But no, mate, no apology required. Very nice of you to say. And don't worry, I won't be going anywhere. I'm going to be covering the Division 2, which, you know, might be a great game. But yeah, as I've said, we haven't seen a big sheet with the word raid on it. Does not a great game make. It's too early days. Yeah, he's a good lad, he's Grumps. So yeah, that is actually, someone's just mentioned a very valid point. I fucking live in the whorehouse in Kingdom Come Deliverance, and that's the one thing. There's no, as far as I'm aware, there's no bathhouse here, and I would love a bathhouse here, because I even get that perk which says I can, the perk that lets me go there for free. So yeah, I obsess about the. I obsess about the state of my gear. So yeah, maybe there'll be more. Maybe they'll do some more expansion to this. Maybe in a future patch. That reference that you're talking about, yes, they did kind of foreshadow that there might be more stuff here. Plus, and for me, this is the big giveaway. It's a wooden bell tower, and there's a wooden facade there. That church doesn't look finished to me. I think there's more to come, because that looks like a temporary structure to me.